As vivid today as they were a half-century ago. The spring brought record flooding, and Jim Cott had to be airlifted over the Minnesota River for his opening day assignment at Metropolitan Stadium. The Twins beat the Yankees that day in extra innings, the first of 102 victories in a season that will never be forgotten.
A drive deep to left, way back, it is a home run! Twins win!
Harmon Killebrew's walk-off home run sent the Twins into the All-Star break with a 5-game lead. And 2 days later, he homered again as the Twins and 6 of their own hosted a who's who of Cooperstown in the Midsummer Classic. In August, the Beatles took the stage in Bloomington. And 1 month later, the Twins returned to the city they left behind, the nation's capital, to celebrate an American League championship.
Pitch. Strike 3!
October brought a classic fall classic, filled with memories to last a lifetime.
Line drive down the left field line and hooking from Allison, who dives, makes a second hit. Oh, what a play by Allison.
And though it ended in defeat at the hands and the left arm of a Hall of Famer, 1965 is a chapter of Twins history to be savored forever.
A special season, no doubt. The first time the Twins had ever reached the World Series, and a memorable series it was against the Dodgers. We celebrate the 50-year anniversary of the 1965 AL champs, and to get it started, here's Adam Abrams.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the MC for tonight's 1965 reunion ceremony, Mr. Dick Bramer.
Thank you. And welcome, fans and viewers on Fox Sports North, to the 50th anniversary celebration of the 1965 AL champion Minnesota Twins. The Twins had only been in existence for 4 seasons, coming over from Washington, D.C. in 1961, when they quickly made their mark on the national scene in Major League Baseball. Today, we are honored to have 21 players and coaches from that 1965 squad, as well as family and loved ones from that American League pennant-winning team. The year was 1965. Lyndon Johnson was president. Hubert Humphrey was vice president. The Rolling Stones were on a world tour, and they are still going strong. The Sound of Music was the top-grossing film, while people were watching Bonanza and I Dream of Jeannie on their brand-new color televisions. And a 9-year-old Paul Molitor was playing ball in St. Paul 50 years before managing his hometown team. This was all before hashtags and selfie sticks, before Instagram and Vine videos. The legendary Vin Scully was the broadcaster for the Twins' World Series opponent, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and his legendary voice continues to call Dodger games in 2015. 1965 was also the year the Beatles performed in front of a packed house at Metropolitan Stadium. So let's combine the forces of Mr. Scully and the Beatles as we take a look back at the 1965 World Series and the 1965 season.
Hi, everybody. This is Vin Scully speaking to you from Dodger Stadium, and I'm honored and delighted to play a small part in the 50th anniversary of the 1965 World Series. The biggest story of the series was before the game started, and that was the decision by Sandy Koufax he would not pitch on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement in the Jewish religion. Don Drysdale had won 23 games that year, so he took the mound against Mudcat Grant. However, it was all Minnesota. They beat the Dodgers 8-2. The big blow, Zoila Versalles hit a 3-run home run. Game 2, Sandy Koufax went to the mound, and baseball was shocked. The Twins jumped out to a 2-0 lead after 6 innings. Ron Perinoski relieved. He gave up a couple of runs. But in that game, the play that really stood out, the Dodgers had their young second baseman, switch hitter, and rookie of the year, Jim Lefevre, at the plate. He hit a ball down the left field line, slicing away from the left fielder, Bob Allison. Somehow got there, made a headfirst dive, and caught the ball inches from hitting the ground. Tremendous play, and Minnesota won the game 5-2. So they're up 2-0, and the scene came to Dodger Stadium, where Claude Osteen, who was always somewhat in the shadow of Koufax and Drysdale, stepped out in the sunshine and shut out the Twins 4-0. Now you got game 4, and in that game, Drysdale returned again. In that ball game, Tony Oliva hit a big home run for the Twins, but it wasn't enough as Drysdale struck out 11, and the Dodgers won the game 5-2. That marked the return in game 5 of Sandy Koufax. He might not have been himself exactly in game 2, but in game 5, he shut down the Twins completely, 7-0. So now the scene goes back to Minnesota, and for Mudcat Grant, he's going to pitch on 2 days rest. Well, he was a tiger of a player. Eventually, he wore the uniform of the Dodgers, and Mudcat not only pitched and won the game, he hit a 3-run home run, and the Twins remained alive as they beat the Dodgers 5-1. But that made it game 7. And as I remember, it was a spongy kind of a rainy, drizzly day, and before the game started, Walter Alston had both pitchers, Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale, warming up together in the bullpen. He elected to have Koufax for this reason. He said if Koufax got in trouble, it wouldn't take Drysdale long to get warmed up and relieved. But if Drysdale got in trouble, it would take Koufax a much longer time to get ready and relieved. Well, Sandy solved that. He shut down the Twins 2-0. The Minnesota Twins hosted 12 World Series games, and they have won 11 of the 12. The only one they lost at home was Game 7 of the '65 World Series. Thanks for the visit. Good talking to you. Have a wonderful second half of the season.
Doing a tremendous job today. I don't know, I'm so happy I don't know what to say, really. What in the world is how I feel right now, because like you say, we've all been waiting for this for a long time, and it's just a great thrill, really.
She gets to saying goodbye.
And now it's time to introduce our 1965 American League champions. First, unable to be here tonight, a 1965 All-Star who hit 20 home runs and drove in 86 runs, outfielder Jimmy Hall. He was a Twin for the first 6 seasons. He went 4-4 in 1965. Pitcher Bill Shorty Pleiss. It was his rookie season in 1965, and he played 16 games. Catcher John Sevcik. And now we'd like to recognize and remember members of the 65 roster who have passed away. He was the third base coach in 1965, later the Twins manager in 1969. One of the great characters in baseball history. He passed away in 1989, Billy Martin. The pitching coach, owning the likes of Jim Cott and Mudcat Grant, he passed away in 2006, Johnny Sane. A power hitting threat with the Senators, he was the team's hitting coach in 1965. He passed away in 2006, Jim Lemon. A 6-game winner in 65 and later a 20-game winner in 1969. He passed away 3 years ago, pitcher Dave Boswell. A Twins Hall of Famer and 5-time All-Star, one of the toughest players you would ever meet, the late catcher Earl Batty. He brought the Twins over from Washington, D.C. and built a powerhouse of a ball club throughout the 60s. Representing the late Twins owner Calvin Griffith, please welcome his son Clark Griffith. He had an 18-year career, including 9 wins in 1965 out of the bullpen. He passed away in 2003. Pitcher Johnny Klipstein, represented today by his daughter Mary Jo Hallberg. He was the primary backup to Earl Batty. He passed away in 1998. Catcher Jerry Zimmerman, represented this evening by his wife Phyllis. He collected the first World Series hit in 1965, a second-inning home run. He played 7 seasons with the Twins. He passed away in 2012. First baseman Don Mincher, represented today by his wife Patsy. He owns one of the biggest web gems in postseason history with his sliding catch in Game 2. He hit 23 home runs in 1965. Outfielder Bob Allison, represented by his wife Betty Allison Kaplan. Not only did he lead his team in the World Series, hitting a 3-run home run in Game 1, he was also the American League MVP in 1965, the first Twin to achieve that honor. Shortstop Zoilo Versalles, represented today by grandchildren Antonio, Bo, James, Cole, and Darad. The greatest home run hitter in Twins history, 475 of his 573 home runs were hit as a Twin. The first Twin to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, Harmon Killebrew, represented by his wife Nita. And now let's meet the 21 members of the 1965 squad here with us this evening. He played for the Twins in 61 and 62 and was the bullpen coach in 1965. Number 51, Hal Narragon. He finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting in 1962, played 5 seasons with the Twins. Infielder number 8, Bernie Allen. He played in 29 games in 65, striking out 35 men. Pitcher number 26, Jerry Fosno. He joined the roster in late July, pitched in 12 games with 2 saves. Pitcher number 30, Gary Rogenberg. He played 7 years in the majors, his final 5 with the Twins. Celebrating his birthday coming up on Tuesday, infielder, outfielder number 11, Frank Castro. He made his major league debut in August of '65. He had 3 hits in the Twins' 100th victory that season. Outfield, first base, he played a lot of important games for the Twins. Number 8, Andy Cosco. Our next pitcher pitched 28 games in 1965, including 3 starts. Please welcome number 29, Mal Nelson. He got his first major league hit in 1965 and was a key part of the Twins' success later on in the decade. Please welcome outfielder first baseman number 13, Rich Reese. From Nimrod, Minnesota, and a Sabika High School graduate, he started 8 games in 1965. Minnesota's own pitcher number 18, Dick Stigman. Our next Twin played 9 years, with the 65 season being his final season. He played 125 games between second, third, and shortstop. Infielder number 16, Jerry Kindle. The next pitcher was a rookie with the Twins in 1965, earning 5 wins with a 3.17 earned run average. And he pitched in 2 World Series games. Pitcher number 26, Jim Merritt. Another rookie in 1965. He collected 4 hits in the series as an outfielder. Number 24, Joe Nosick. Making his major league debut that season was a corner outfielder who collected 64 hits during the season, 3 more in the World Series. Outfielder number 28, Sandy Valdespino. He played 8 seasons with the Twins, had over 100 hits and 5 home runs in 1965. Third baseman number 9, Rich Rollins. He won 215 games, 128 as a Twin, including 12 of them in 1965, with a 2.38 earned run average. He later won the Cy Young Award in 1970, inducted into the Twins Hall of Fame in 2011. Number 31, Jim Perry. Another Twins Hall of Famer. He led the American League in strikeouts 3 years in a row, a 5-time All-Star, and started Game 3 of the World Series. Number 17, Camilo Pascual. Our next Twin pitched the most games in 1965, 62 appearances. And he gathered 21 saves. He notched 10 victories as well. Ladies and gentlemen, number 15, Al Worthington. a rookie who collected a World Series record 2 hits in 1 inning in Game 1 of the World Series. He was later a Twins manager and broadcaster, always a fan favorite. Number 11, Frank Quillisi. The winningest pitcher in Twins history, the man who pitched a complete game to clinch the American League pennant. An 18-game winner in 1965. He outdueled Sandy Koufax to win Game 2 of the World Series. Twins Hall of Famer, number 36, Jim Kaat. This next man won 21 games in 1965, including 14 complete games, 6 shutouts. He was the winning pitcher in World Series games 1 and 6. Hit a big 3-run home run in Game 6 as well. The one and only number 33, Jim Mudcat Grant. Last and certainly not least, he batted .321 in 1965 with 185 hits. He won his 2nd straight batting title in just his 2nd season. His number 6 is retired, a Twins Hall of Famer, should be a National Baseball Hall of Famer, Tony Oliva. Let's give it up one more time, your 1965 American League champion Minnesota Twins. There is one more individual we have not introduced yet, and that is 1965 manager Sam Mealy. Sam is at home in Massachusetts, but wanted to send a video message to you, the fans, and to his team. So please direct your attention to the video board.
They did everything you asked of them, kept a good clubhouse happy. They just wanted to play ball and win. To all of you, I want to say thanks a million for putting out and winning the pen for me. And here's one thing. I have the manager of the year in my den, and I look at that every day, and what they should have done was put every one of your names on that plaque, because you ball players won it. I didn't swing the bat, run the bases, go out in the field, make great plays. You guys did it. I want to do this right now and say thank you to you great fans in Minnesota. You did me a wonderful job. You kept me in every ball game. You treated me great. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Mr. Mealy. And now let's hear from one of the outstanding outfielders for Mr. Mealy's team, Mr. Tony Oliva.
I love to be leadoff man. First of all, I'd like to thank you, God, for this great opportunity. I never dreamed that something like that could happen to me, especially after 50 years. You know, 50 years is a long time, but when you have a good time with your family, those 50 years go very fast. Why I say my family, I say all those ball players right here, they are like my brothers. All this right here, my family, this is my family. Are you, defense? Thank you. I'm very proud today to look around here and see all you people smiling. You know, they make me happy. And today, I saw my little boy, Ricky, play the national anthem. And I saw the little Solo Messiah's daughter, two ex-ball players, playing the national anthem, singing that beautiful, beautiful voice, making me feel like to cry, because for 50 years to be here and be able to see that it's happening. And the only thing can be better if this year we get lucky and do the miracle that Minnesota did it 50 years ago and win the pennant. Yeah, I know we can do it. I know we can do it. Good luck and God bless you.
A 16-time Gold Glover as a pitcher, someone who deserves, like Tony, to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Let's bring up Jim Cott.
Thank you, Dick. I can't say it any better than Tony did, but I would like to say thank you to Dave St. Peter, Minnesota Twins, bringing us back for this occasion. You've made us feel warm and welcome. We appreciate it. All of you veteran fans that remember the old Met, thanks for sharing the great memories out there. And from all of us, members of the American League champion 1965 Minnesota Twins, we wish to you guys that you'll hoist a flag up there like we did in the very near future. So good luck the rest of the way.
Both Tony and Jim talked about a figurative passing of the torch. We're going to pass some baseballs to symbolize that. To culminate today's ceremonies, we thought it appropriate that the 1965 Twins throw out ceremonial pitches to the 2015 Twins. So we've got some baseballs here. And while we get set up to do this, you might have noticed the volunteers in red shirts with clipboards at the gates when you arrived this evening. Each of them is working to have Twins legend Harmon Killebrew honored with a commemorative postage stamp, and you can help. The Postal Service is giving careful consideration to creating a Harmon Killebrew stamp this year, and an enthusiastic expression of support from the Twins community today could leave them with no choice but to approve the stamp. As you enjoy today's game, please seek out the petition signers. Sign up to show your support for Harmon Killebrew and to honor his legacy. All right, gentlemen, are we ready?
What a great event honoring the 1965 American League champions as they throw out their first pitches. We will step aside, and when we return, we'll preview the third game of this four-game series between the Twins and the Mariners from right here at Target Field. This Mariners and Twins series is brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import. And on a perfect night for baseball in Minneapolis, the Mariners and Twins will resume this 4-game series. Each team has taken one of the first two. The Twins trying to find a way to get back on track. It's been a slow start since the All-Star break. With Roy Smalley, I'm Anthony LaPanta. In spite of that, Minnesota still holds the second wild card spot in the American League. And tonight they get a boost. Trevor Plouffe is back from paternity leave, and they added a hard-throwing right-hander to the bullpen. It forced Paul Molitor to make a couple of roster moves, and he sent 2 shortstops to the minor leagues, opening the door for Eduardo Escobar, among others, to get a shot at short.
I think Eduardo Escobar is the de facto shortstop now, and if the Twins are going to make a move, he's going to have to play like this the rest of the season. Make all the routine plays, make a few spectacular ones, and swing the bat like he did last year. If he does that, it's his job to keep probably for the rest of this season.
We'll see how it plays out, see if more consistent playing time can help him get back to the kind of offensive player he was a year ago. Kyle Gibson takes them out for Minnesota tonight. And up next, we'll take a look at what he must do to get back into the groove that he enjoyed for most of the first half.
Is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. The Twins open the month of August with hopes of getting back to the World Series in 2015. It's Game 3 between the Twins and the Mariners. Dick Bramer along with Jack Morris. These hats were given away at Metropolitan Stadium during the '65 World Series, so I just thought I'd wear it. I wasn't at any of the games, but I do have one of these. What do you think?
It really looks good on you.
Looks good on you, right? Well, the Twins are going to hope to start playing better baseball in the month of August, and they're hoping to get better starting pitching, and all of that applies tonight with Kyle Gibson going on the mound.
Yeah, Gibby could use a good one for the Twins' sake and his own sake. And, we've got a lot of emotion in this ballpark tonight with the 65 guys here. I think if you're any one of a baseball fan or a baseball player, you can't help but really appreciate the energy that camaraderie brings over years and decades. Minnesota Twins. So Kyle Gibson taking the mound tonight. Maybe it'll be a good omen for him to see the brotherhood of baseball players here for him.
Now the Twins take the field, and Kyle Gibson hoping to get back in the win column, taking on a Seattle team that handled the Twins very well last night. The Twins handled the Mariners pretty well the night before. The Twins took 2 out of 3 in Seattle. That was way back in April. And a beautiful night again weather-wise. We've been blessed with incredible weather. And we'll see if the Twins can get off to a better start than they did last night. Jack, what do you remember about the '65 World Series?
Well, I remember how well, how much excitement was in Minnesota over a baseball team that had moved from Washington. And I remember that for me personally, it was my introduction to guys that I looked up to. And, I can't help but tell you that I was a little emotional with you reading some of the names of guys that were not with the team right now.
The Menards batting order for the Mariners in Game 3. Ketel Marte leading things off. Kyle Seager, Nelson Cruz, Robinson Cano back in the lineup as advertised as the designated hitter. Seth Smith, Austin Jackson, Jesus Montero, Brad Miller, and Mike Zunino.
And they'll be facing Kyle Gibson. He's making his 21st start, and we've talked about what Kyle needs to do tonight. I think more than anything, he just has to feel the good that he's done. Go out there and be confident. I know this kid can pitch. He's a winner, and he just needs to go out and show that tonight.
And Gibson hoping to get win number 9 here tonight. Northland for defense for the Twins. Rosario in left, Hicks in center, Hunter in right. Blue back in the lineup, back on the roster, and in the lineup. He's at third. Eduardo Escobar, we'll be seeing more of him in short, one would think. Brian Dozier at second, Joe Mauer at first, and Kurt Suzuki behind the plate. And Escobar at short now with Danny Santana being sent down after the game last night. Paul Molitor saying that we'll see Escobar there. We will see Eduardo Nunez there. Twins are hoping for improved shortstop play over the last 2 months of the season. Here is Marte, and there is strike 1.
I don't think he can look at one aspect of the Twins and say this is what needs to improve. They just need to start playing the way they did with confidence, and that'll change their outcomes.
0-2.
Good sinker right there. That might be a good indication that Kyle is going to be on top of his game. That ball really dipped at the end.
Marte hitless in the ball game last night. We get a lot of playing time in the last 2 months outside. He won't be playing much second base unless something goes terribly wrong with Seattle. Robinson Cano will be there, and maybe as soon as tomorrow. 1-2. And a swing and a miss. A good start for Gibson. 1 down.
Another very good sinker right there. That ball just had great tail. Good start for Kyle Gibson and the Twins.
And now Kyle Seager.
Watch the movement of this ball. Just absolutely exploded down, almost like a curveball would, only with fastball arm action.
And a strike on the outside corner. Gibson, we all saw an outstanding performance last night from Taijuan Walker about getting ahead of hitters and backing up strike 1 very often with strike 2. Gibson did that to the first batter, and now gets ahead 0-2 to Seager. Walker one hit the Twins, and now a little delay here is with 2 strikes. Plouffe moves over to the right side of the infield.
You can see by the shadows there's some really bright spots. Center field being the toughest right now for Aaron Hicks out there. Brian Dozier in the sun, Eduardo Escobar in the sun.
1-2. Seager, a cornerstone player for the Mariners. A few years ago, the Mariners pretty much cast their lot with guys like Seager, Dustin Ackley, but Ackley was a disappointment, was traded to the Yankees the other day. A little bit low, 2-2. through the left side of the infield. Seager with a 1-out single, and that'll bring up Nelson Cruz. You can see the pennant sticker or decal patch on the right shoulder of the Twins uniforms and on the cap as well. Special bases being used here tonight.
I guarantee you that wasn't the base on the field, because that had autographs on it.
Here's Cruz. Had a good night last night. 4 hits, hit the ball hard 5 times. He sends one out into the sunlight, and Hicks goes back, and that's over his head and into the bullpen or stuck into the fence. It'll be a ground rule double in any case. It's stuck into the padding in the fence in left center field. Second and third, 1 down. And Cruz continues to hit the ball very solidly in this series.
It's an unusual way, but that ball stuck underneath the padding against the fence. Chain link there.
Haven't seen that happen before. It's probably happened countless times in batting practice, but first time in a game by my memory. Corner infielders in, and Robinson Cano, the designated hitter, suffered a bit of an abdominal pull a few days ago. Missed a few games, but now is back in as the DH. Missing the inside corner.
Now, Cano took batting practice yesterday for the Mariners, did not play in the game, but I think he's been anxious to get back in. They're still hesitant to put him on in the field because of the chance he might pull something trying to turn a double play. But seems to be okay to be able to hit left-handed anyway.
1-0. And now outside 2-0. Gibson going just a total of 10 1/3 innings in his 2 starts since the All-Star break, and giving up 11 earned runs. And he gave him an off-speed pitch on 2-0 and got a swing and a miss.
Well, that's a fastball count for the hitter, and you could see that Cano was looking for the fastball there. Kyle pulled the string a little bit, put it in a good spot. He needs a ground ball here,
preferably to a corner infield. It's up the middle, and Escobar turns and fires, gets the out. A run scores, 1-0. Seager scoring from third. Cruz to third base. Cano driving in his 43rd run.
Escobar's going to have to go to his left. Ball's right over the mound, and he makes a nice play. That wasn't as easy as it might have appeared because of that sunshine. It's so bright right in that spot. But he stayed with it, got the out.
And now Seth Smith, the left fielder. Change up low, ball 1. Mariners have had a huge disappointing year this year. Thought they would be buyers in late July, and instead they were sellers. 1-1. Mariners in July 12-15, a little bit worse than the Twins. Losing June, played 500 ball in May, a losing April. 1-1 to Smith. 2-1. Pitch of the inning for Kyle Gibson. staring right into the sun as he tries to spot the ball in the home plate area in the shadows, and now he's got to track this fly ball. Makes the catch. A couple of hits for the Mariners and the game's first run in the first. In Game 7, the Menards batting order for the Twins in Game 3: Brian Dozier, Aaron Hicks, Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Trevor Plouffe, Torrey Hunter, Eddie Rosario, Kurt Suzuki, and Eduardo Escobar.
And they're going to be facing the left-hander, Mike Montgomery. He's making his 12th start. He was acquired by the Mariners on the 31st of March from Tampa in exchange for right-handed pitcher Erasmo Ramirez, and originally was signed by the Royals. They like what they see in this kid, but he's kind of a tale of two halves for him. In his first 7 starts, he had a 4-2 record with a 1.62 ERA, and in the last 4 starts, he's 0-2 with a 7.08. So, like Kyle Gibson, he needs to figure out something.
Mark Wagner, the crew chief, has come off the field. He's a second base umpire, and we have an issue of some sort, and I haven't a clue as to what it might be. A brief conversation with Lloyd McClendon. And you were a major league veteran. You have any idea what this is about?
Well, I'm going to guess that because we're getting something in our headsets, and the knowledgeable crew of our truck has got some information that we didn't have, but the replay might have gone down inside the Seattle clubhouse, and that's crucial for Lloyd to make decisions as to whether they should ask the umpires. So they're probably in touch with New York right now, trying to get it all figured out.
I just want you to know that as I walked by the Seattle clubhouse, I did not pull the plug on their replay.
But we've got some crafty old Minnesota Twin players that didn't have replay that might have said, you know, let's play the game the way we used to, and just unplugged everything.
Okay. Basically, what we're being told, the result of this is that replay will go on. It's just that the Mariners are handicapped because they can't use their video system.
Well, if I'm Lloyd McClendon, that's going to be an issue. If you can't look at it and make calculated decisions based on what you see, then neither team should have that right.
But I'm guessing the contention is that the teams are responsible for their own video equipment, and you know, you can't get yours to work, it's on you, it's not on the other team. I'm guessing that's what the judgment is. Here's strike 1 to Brian Dozier. Dozier, Hicks, and Mauer. The Twins down 1-0. And now 1-1. The Twins should have a good scouting report on Mike Montgomery. Montgomery is new to the Seattle organization. He was in the Kansas City organization. In the interim, he was property of the Tampa Bay Rays, and for a couple of years his pitching coach was Neil Allen. And so Allen knows Montgomery awfully well, or should.
So he was sitting in on the pitcher or the hitters meetings today.
Bouncer to short, and Miller across the diamond over to Montero, 1 away. Northland Ford defense for the Mariners. Seth Smith is in left. Austin Jackson in center. Nelson Cruz in right. Kyle Seager, Brad Miller, Ketel Marte, and Jesus Montero on the infield with Mike Zunino doing the catching. Aaron Hicks, the batter. Had a good series opener, and like every other Twin hitter, struggled last night against Walker. Miguel Sano's home run, the only hit the Twins would get in 9 innings. Way out in front, strike 1 taken, and now strike 2. We saw a lot of that last night.
I was going to say, if you're Tom Bernansky, the hitting coach, you walk into the clubhouse today and tell everybody whatever happened last night, forget about it. Because nobody really, other than Sano's one swing, it was all Taijuan Walker. So you've just got to accept that baseball is going to have a few of those, and you move forward. And nobody can really be embarrassed or anything like that, because this guy was flat out good. You tip your hat to him, and you hope that you can do a better job against the left-hander on the mound tonight.
Swing and a miss, and even right-handed Hicks has a hard time against Montgomery. 2 down, and that'll bring up Joe Mauer.
Well, they talked about Montgomery having really good makeup, and he's the kind of guy that really battles. They're very impressed with the fact that he's always out there competing, and he's got a good breaking ball. He's got a fastball in the low to mid 90s. But when you hear reports that a guy is a battler, you're pretty impressed right from the start.
Outside, ball 1.
Watch out.
And now low, 2-0. Montgomery used to be a hard thrower, had some arm problems, and now isn't anymore. He's had to learn how to get by, or how to battle, as you say, without as much velocity. Outside, 3-0 with Sano on deck.
Well, I got news for you. That 93 is good enough. That'll work for everybody if they know what they're doing with it. It doesn't have to be 99.
A 4-pitch walk. Mauer drew a first inning walk last night, and he does the same thing here tonight. Miguel Sano got a changeup and hammered it for a home run. That was about it for the Twins last night.
The only hit in the ballgame for the Twins, and you just saw it. So that's our highlight reel.
Yeah. And we can replay that a bunch of times, but it still was just going to count for the 1 run.
Yeah.
An inside corner strike. To the left field corner, but hooking foul.
Pulled the string right there. Change up, but Miguel just a little too far out in front. Couldn't keep it fair. And a lot of times you find Miguel Sano behind in the count. He's behind again. But he's very patient. He's not the kind of guy, rarely does he swing out of the zone.
Oh, up around his head. That was close. From my perspective. Now you're from a pitching perspective, you probably say, well, he had plenty of time to get out of the way.
That's very close. I'm going to agree with you.
To center, and Jackson makes the catch in his tracks. Twins go scoreless in the first.
Of the second, Kevin Jepson now added to the bullpen, arrived here in uniform, ready to go tonight. And in our Medica sounds of the game, he assesses what he brings to the table.
Breaking ball, fastball, just that look off the mound. Ideally, I like to get better at lefties and get their batting average down. And obviously that's still, something for myself to challenge myself with year in and year out. But, just attacking guys, getting first pitch strike is huge.
Jepson's ready to go. We asked Paul Molitor when we'd see him, if we saw him. He said, well, I hope Kyle Gibson goes all 9, but if not, somewhere after the 7th inning was the hint that he gave us, and that is as expected, guys.
I talked to Kevin, welcomed him to the Twins organization. And he arrived last night, ready to go tonight. Thank you, Kevin. Bounce foul. And the count is 0-2. Gibson struck out the first batter, Marte, and then gave up a single and a double, the run scoring on a ground ball.
Talked to Paul Molitor about Jepson, and he said he was all smiles, excited to be here. I imagine they'll get him in. Here's a nice pitch by Kyle Gibson, getting his second strikeout.
The second inning starts as the first inning did, with a strikeout. Now Jesus Montero. Montero being given one last long look, not as a catcher, but as a first baseman. He's out of options after this year. Just called up, recalled. And the Mariners have to make a decision as to whether he fits into their plans next year, because if they determine he does not, then they'll have to expose him to other teams. Here's a ball fouled back to the backstop, 0-2.
You got to always wonder about guys that have struggled for extended periods of time, and then just prior to some kind of transaction, they start heating up a little bit.
A little more urgency.
It's kind of like that 4 years and then their free agent year, they really can turn it on.
Another swinging strikeout, 2 down. Now Brad Miller. Another breaking ball down and away, and a quick strikeout of Montero.
That's slider that time, and Montero went fishing out of the zone.
Miller, the shortstop, with the bases empty. Gibson shaves the outside corner.
I think it's something that Kyle Gibson's starting, and it comes with time on the mound. He's starting to understand and getting a better feel for what hitters are trying to do. And I don't know if there's any definitive way of describing this, but there are times where you just sense that they're swinging. And I actually talked to Kyle about that, and he knew what I was talking about. And I can't just describe it and say this is when they're swinging, because you never do know.
Oop. This 0-2 pitch hits Miller and will send him to first. Gibson was, I think, on the.
That was literally a back foot slider.
Yes, but I think he was on the verge of striking out 3 batters on 9 pitches. And this one spun down and got the front leg. 2 down, a runner at first, and now Mike Zunino. Roller to short, over to Dozier. That takes care of that. A scoreless second, but the Mariners have a 1-0 lead. What's next? By Northland Ford. Presented by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By NorthlandFord.com and your local Northland Ford dealer. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. 1-0 Mariners. The Twins got just one run in last night's game. See if Trevor Plouffe can get something started for the Twins in the second. Fastball down the middle of strike. Plouffe, Hunter, and Rosario here in the second.
Trevor's first at bat since becoming a new papa.
Fouled back, and it's 0-2. Took the 3 days off while on the paternity list. Twins sending down Jorge Polanco, the substitute player under those conditions.
I want you to know that he was watching and listening last night.
He nearly got hit by an 0-2 pitch.
And he was filling in on a few things that let's just say I saw maybe a little different than he did. But
is that right?
It was a pleasant conversation.
Okay.
And I acknowledge that from his perspective, that's probably true.
Across the diamond, Seager to Montero, one away down in the second inning. And that'll bring up Torrey Hunter.
The good news is the radio broadcast team was sitting next to us when that conversation took place. And I just made sure that Trevor did not let anybody on that side know that he was watching and listening to us, because they might have been offended.
Terribly insecure.
Yes, they are.
One strike to Hunter. Would like to do what they did 2 nights ago, and that is score or threaten to score in just about every inning. They didn't have a threat in the first inning or not. Here's a nice touch. I know this gives you some nostalgic feeling. The old Twinsogram they had at the Met Stadium scoreboard. The Tapper foul.
But with that beautiful, I don't know, monster TV is what I call it out there.
Yes.
There's no drastic lines that are in between those little digits that there was at the original scoreboard. See, and that just shows how old I am to be able to remember what it looked like. All I can say is I like the new generation in some things, and that's definitely one of them.
On the Twinsogram, they used to have notes from, you know, the Fergus Falls Lutheran Ladies' Aid is here today, and things like that.
Only you could remember those things.
1-2 to Torrey Hunter.
I personally never had time to look up there and read those. I was watching Killer.
You know what? I know I did too, but I mean, when I was a kid and went to Met Stadium, I mean, it was a sensory experience.
Sure,
I mean, and when in between pitches, I was looking in the broadcast booth because Halsey Hall was there, and I got to see him personally. And then you'd look at the scoreboard and read what was on the Twinsogram.
I can honestly say I never looked at the broadcast. I didn't even know what a broadcast booth was. I was watching everything that happened between the lines. Once in a while, I'd look in the dugout.
Hunter hanging tough, battling here, 1-2 with 1 out in the second. And he took ball 2. Whatever the snafu was with the Mariner replay system, it's been fixed.
That's good for the Mariners.
Popped up, short left. The shortstop Miller retreats. And giving way to the left fielder Smith, 2 down. That'll bring up Eddie Rosario. Spend your summer at Target Field. Become a Twins season ticket holder with the new Pick 10 plan. Just pick 10 of the remaining games and save off the box office price. Enjoy sweet spot benefits exclusive to Twins season ticket holders, including 10% off game day food and merchandise at Target Field. You can learn more about package options by visiting twinsbaseball.com/pick10 or by calling 612-33-TWINS. Eddie Rosario takes down and away, ball 1.
Another fabulous crowd here tonight on a beautiful baseball evening. Twins need to give them something to cheer about. It was a quiet crowd last night. We talked about the great pitching effort by the Mariners.
To left field. And Smith slams on the brakes as the ball slicing toward him. A 1-2-3 second. Twins Hall of Famer Jim Cott will be in the booth with us when we come back.
Sports update. As we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the 1965 World Series, we look back at Game 2 from Metropolitan Stadium. The Twins offense got to Sandy Koufax, Bob Allison made a great diving catch, and Jim Cott shut down the LA offense in a 5-1 Twins win.
1-0 Mariners. The Twins, of course, in World Series, in their first World Series in 1965, losing in 7 games to the Dodgers. Ketel Marte taking strike 1. And we're very happy to have Jim Cott with us, former broadcast partner of mine. You know how these things work, or do you do headsets?
Jack's going to show me.
Okay, all right.
Here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to move out of the way, and they want to listen to you, so go take over.
It's good to have you back in Minnesota, and I can't imagine you can't come back here without thinking about your great career here and the World Series in '65.
I think about the whole thing, the whole body of work, and never realized when we played together. Now when you look back, what a close-knit group we had, and I think that's one of the reasons we were successful. Of course, we had Harmon and Tony and Zoe. We had good ball club, but yeah, very nice memories. Dave St. Peter and the Twins did a great job. It's just fun to be a part of.
And how about Sam Mealy's message? I mean, wasn't that precious?
I talked to Sam. I haven't seen him like I did on screen. I talked to Sam a couple months ago. He said, "Would you send me a picture?" And I said, "Sure." So I said to Sam, "Thanks for giving me the ball every 4th day." And he had his daughter call me, and he got on the phone. He said, "It was a pleasure to give you the ball every 4th day." Because that was all Sam did, was give you the ball, and you went out and pitched, and there wasn't any science or strategy to either got him out or you didn't, which we all loved.
Dribbled up the line. We had a breakfast yesterday in the Metropolitan Club here, and you were one of the special invited guests, and it stuck with me that a number of guys, and I think you did too, mentioned the impact that Billy Martin had on that team in 1965 and getting things turned around from where they were in 1964.
He had a great influence on Zoilo. Later on, he had a great influence on Rod Carew. If you could have locked Billy in a room and just put him in the dugout during the game. You know, he was so far ahead of. I mean, Rod stole home 7 times in '69, but Billy, you know, in today's game, it would frustrate him. Sit back and strike out or hit a home run. You know. So we had Billy on the offensive side, and we had Johnny Saint, who came in, really organized our pitching staff, and taught Mudcat and all of us that little, you know, short curve. It wasn't a slider; it was just a controlled breaking ball, and God, it was a magical pitch for us.
1 out. The batter's Kyle Seager.
I thought it was a nice touch for both you and Tony to kind of, in your quiet way, try to pass the baton for the special memories you had from your '65 team. I know I felt that in '91, and we all are pulling for those guys in the dugout today. But more importantly, I felt there was a sense of family here.
Yeah.
And I mean the whole crowd.
Oh, yeah.
It was a special moment. I know I grew up, and I don't want to date you, Jimmy, because you know damn well that you're one of my favorite people of all time. But you know, I grew up as a kid watching the '65 Twins.
Sure.
And that was my first real love for the game of baseball. And for me to see you guys down there and then hear that message that you guys are still connected, and all the years later you still feel, you know, like a brotherhood, that meant a lot to me.
Well, I think what we take a lot of pride in is the fact that we were the first championship team in Minnesota. You know, we came out of Washington, first in war, first in last, first in peace, last of the American League. Didn't have much of a team. Came up here, didn't do well the first, and all of a sudden we put some things together. And I remember I was just talking to Johnny Klipstein's daughter. I kept this little pocket schedule with wins and losses. We started winning series. Clippers said, you know, we can win this thing. I said, really? The Yankees win it every year. And when Harmon hit that home run before the All-Star break, I think we all said, you know, the Yankees were then comfortably back. There's still that fear factor with Mantle, Maris. They won it every year, and then we steamrolled. But I think connecting with all the teams now, it's nice to hear fans say, hey, our interest in baseball really started with that '65 team. You know, we kind of kick-started the franchise.
Count is 2-2 to the batter, Kyle Seager. Dick Bramer, Jack Morris, and Jim Cott nice enough to visit with us here. Here's a fly to center, and Hicks backpedals. How big of a thrill was it to start the clinching game in D.C.? And of course it was a different era back then, but you pitched a complete game and got that final out, and we'll always remember the celebration on the field.
Well, we had a comfortable lead, and so you'd think, well, you're going to win one, but the '64 Phillies had blown a 7-game lead, and everywhere we went they'd say, hey, don't forget the Phillies. So that Saturday night I was rooming Billy Place. I don't think I slept a wink. You know, I was more pumped up for that game, and Quilici hits a sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. Is that it right there?
Yep. Tell everybody who the batter was.
And the last out of the game was my good buddy, the late Don Zimmer. And Zim said, pal, you knew if you threw me a breaking ball, I was hacking at it. It was done. But we made that 2-1 lead step up. And, you know, that was just, I mean, it's something, as Jack has experienced, you dream of, you know, winning a pennant. There weren't any playoffs. And to be able to pull it off, that was some thrill.
A 3-up, 3-down 3rd inning. We'll have more with Jim Cott after the break. Anaheim, they were talking about the big deal. They had a helicopter on the field in Anaheim trying to dry it out. And, of course, that triggered our memory of what happened opening day 1965. Jim Cott, fill in the blanks there. What happened?
Well, I don't know if Jack remembers that back in '65, the big flood. And we're living in Burnsville, 4 of us, and traffic's backed up. You got no cell phones. So I get out of my car. I'm pitching that day, opening day. I got to get to the old Met. And I went up to the driver. What's going on? He said, well, 35W is flooded over. Can't get. It's a strike. Can't get over the the overpass or whatever it was. So I go back to my apartment. And I said, well, Paul Giel's the sports director at WCCO. Let me call Paul, see if they got a helicopter. And they did. You could only hold 2 at a time. So he said, he called me back. He said, go to the Burnsville High School parking lot. They took Dick Stigman, Rich Rollins, Bill Bethea, and I, and 2x2. We only had 16,000 people at opening day that day because people couldn't get to the
park from the south. Huh? 1-1 to Suzuki and a tapper foul, 1-2. And so you got to the field. Did the helicopter land in the parking lot then, or
right in the parking lot? Man, it's like flying private these days.
You're used to this lifestyle.
Yeah, I wish. I'll tell you what, if I was had those contracts today, that would be the first thing on my list.
Suzuki, Escobar, and Dozier here in the Twins' third, down a run, 1-0, and a weak tapper in front of Seager, and he barehands it and made the wrong choice there. Perhaps that ball might have rolled foul, and Suzuki gets the first hit for the Twins, leading off the third with an infield single.
Not going to see a lot of those from Kurt Suzuki, but he found a right spot. I'm not sure that ball would have gone foul. Yeah. I think it would have hit the bag. But either way, Kurt Suzuki on with an infield hit, and we don't see a lot of those from Kurt.
Yeah, the fields nowadays are so level. In the old days when they were sloped for drainage, that ball would kick foul. It doesn't do that anymore.
And at Met Stadium, you never know, having the Vikings play there as well. Anywhere on the field, particularly in the outfield, you could have had a ball run into wherever the football players were playing the week before.
Or, some of Billy's great gamesmanship. If Harmon was playing third, we'd have that triangle that they wouldn't cut the grass and slow the ball down.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and then if a speedy team came in, which there weren't many, all of a sudden it'd be like beach sand around first base.
Well, since you brought that up now, there's a rumor out there that there was a little gamesmanship like that in the World Series in '65, try to slow down the Dodger running game.
I'm not aware of it. I would admit it. If
well, you'd be aware of it.
Yeah, you mean with Wills?
Right. Yeah.
No, I don't. I think we didn't have to because the conditions were so soft. It was gray and rainy. I remember Koufax saying, "You guys don't play in this weather, do you?" And I thought, man, that's about the only chance we've got against him. And it was one of those gray, cloudy. Looked like it might snow.
Yeah. You're talking about Game 7?
Well, it was Game 2, and Game 7 wasn't too much better than that. It wasn't a sunshiny day.
2 strikes to Escobar, and there's strike 3. Well, as Jack said, there were some emotional moments during the ceremony we had here today, and I had a hard time introducing the absence of Harmon Killebrew. He should have been here.
Yeah, it's I guess the old saying, you don't appreciate people till they're no longer here, but we did appreciate Harmon, and we continue to appreciate Harmon. And he was just, I talked to Bob Costas, my broadcast partner, and he goes to the Hall of Fame. He interviews all these Hall of Famers.
Strike 1 to Dozier.
And Hank Aaron came for the to give you an idea of the respect he had. I don't think there's any Hall of Famer that was more beloved or respected. Harmon was the epitome of what I used to hear Al Shaver say on a sportscast. When you lose, say little. When you win, say less.
Toward the hole and through. Suzuki to second base. And now runners at first and second with 1 down for Aaron Hicks. Well, and when Harmon was inducted in 1984, he was my broadcast partner back then. That's when I first met you, because you went to his induction. You were there for Bert's induction, and then when we talk about Twins and national exposure, we talk about Harmon being on the David Letterman show. I believe you were in the audience for that too, right?
Bob and I were there. Letterman was a big Harmon Killebrew fan.
Yes.
For some reason,
devoted a whole show to him.
Yeah.
First and second, 1 down. Here's Hicks. Struck out quickly in the first inning. You know, you talked about, you know, you've struggled in Washington, D.C., but as I commented yesterday at the breakfast, when you think of all the talent you guys brought to Minnesota, a Rookie of the Year in Allison, a home run champion in Killebrew, fastball a little bit low, 2-0. I mean, this was not a situation where the cupboard was bare.
Well, we were just coming of age. I think it was good timing, you know, with Harmon hitting home runs and Bob winning the Rookie of the Year. Then along came Zoilo and I were in the minor leagues together in '60, and Tony, of course, is a great story.
There's a ball hit to right that will drop in front of Cruz. Suzuki will be held, and the Twins have 3 singles and a threat here in the third. And they're loaded up now for Joe Mauer. Zunino out to talk to Mike Montgomery.
Yeah, good to see Aaron Hicks get back in the saddle with this base hit. Inside out swing, able to shoot it out to right field. So the Twins got something cooking. Now Joe Mauer with a chance to drive in a run.
Pretty good man to have up there in this situation, isn't it? One of the few hitters that you can count on using the whole field and hitting it where it's pitched for the most part.
Well, let me ask you this, Jim, because we see it now, and the Mariners are a perfect team to be playing tonight to discuss this. Have you ever seen many left-handed batters who are shifted in the outfield like many teams, including the Mariners, shift Joe Mauer?
Well, I've seen in the past, not quite that exaggerated, but I've seen, you know, you go over hitters. Well, if it's on the ground, he pulls it. If it's in the air, it's straight away, or vice versa. But obviously, with all the data that they have today, they feel like they have a pretty good database to position their players this way.
A lot of room down the right field line, and Mauer hits a double play grounder, juggled, and they still get the double play, and the Twins don't score after putting together a threat in the third. Our thanks to Jim Cott. I hope you've enjoyed the week and continue to do so.
Thanks, guys.
All
Good
right.
seeing you both.
Great to see you, Jim.
Always
Thanks.
good to see you. Take care.
The all-new Chrysler 200, America's import. Great to have Jim Cott in the booth with us, and such a big part of Twins history on this night where we honor the historic 1965 Twins team.
Still, to me, one of the all-time great baseball players, and I know the writers in the hall will never understand, but 26 years of putting on a major league uniform, that in itself, it just speaks volumes of how a guy stayed in shape and his passion for the game. It wasn't luck.
Liner to left, Rosario makes the catch. Quickly one out here in the fourth inning. going to have Jim Perry join us later on this evening, so we invite you to stay tuned for that. Gibson gave up a run in the first on a couple of hits and a ground ball. Hasn't given up a hit since. Seth Smith with one gone in the fourth. Twins have seen their wild card lead slip down to a game entering play today. And it's not because teams like Toronto or Baltimore are in hot pursuit. They're just hovering around the 500 mark. It's because the Twins have struggled. Had a losing July after a losing June. On the outside corner, 1-1.
Well, the Royals did end up beating Toronto today, so the Twins picked up a half a game. They win tonight, and they pick up another full game on Toronto.
Two months ago, we talked about how many teams in the American League were just kind of hanging around 500, and the Twins, coming off a 20-win May, have played themselves down to near the 500 mark. And that'll be the challenge, to try to rediscover some of the magic they had and showed in the month of May through August and September.
It's crazy how timing can change things, but geez, every indication prior to the All-Star break is the team was on the move. They were heading in the right direction, and then the 4 days off just changed everything, and they came out and it's been flat. A couple decent games, one against the Yankees, good pitch game in Anaheim by Irvin Santana, but for the most part, the Twins just haven't played to the caliber that they did prior to the break.
And Jim talked about the magnitude of Harmon's home run the last game before the All-Star break in 1965, and then the Twins went on from there after the break to continue to play well. And hey, it could have been just a coincidence too. It might be the All-Star break, the stopping of playing when you're playing really well. 2-2. Nothing you can do anything about. You just need to find a way to.
It's on the schedule way back in February. So
3-2. You know, we had prior to the break two incredible walk-offs. Swing and a miss. Smith strikes out, 2 down. Brian Dozier hitting the big 2 walk-off home runs right before the All-Star break. And Twins are going to need some more games like that here real soon, one would think. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag NorthDataStrongFan, and you might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
Good news is Kyle Gibson seems to be dialed in now. He's set down quite a few Mariners in a row, settling in the 4th inning here. He's getting ahead of hitters like we talked about early in the game, and the Twins are only one swing of the bat away from tying it, so all good indications that they're still in this game. There's a lot of game to be played.
Austin Jackson struck out quickly in the second. He's behind 0-2 here in the 4th. Jackson just 1 for 9 against Kyle Gibson. And in the dirt, 1-2. Ground hard, but right to the shifted Dozier. It's a 1-2-3-4. You're watching the Mariners and Twins, brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import. 3-2. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. In 22 Major League games, Miguel Sano off to a great start with 10 extra base hits. See some of the other Twins players have done this early in their career. Sano hit a fly ball to center his first time up on the pitch after he took one under the chin. 1-0. Big swing and a miss. 1-1. Wearing his age on his jersey. Huh. One and two.
Mike Montgomery doing a good job with his breaking pitches, keeping them down in the zone. He's making sure they're not over the heart of the plate. So far, it's been pitching in this game again.
Off the end of the bat, rolled to Marte. One down. And that'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. Join us September 4th for the Lynx Night Out ticket offer. Welcomed by Fox Sports North. For just $30, fans receive a ticket to the game, craft beer sampling, and a commemorative Lynx beer stein. For details, visit foxsportsnorth.com and click on upcoming events. Trevor Plouffe, the batter. It's a significant day, and a drive to right center field, carrying to the gap. This ball is deep. Off the wall and then off the glove of Cruz. Plouffe will round second. He'll try for third. The throw from Marte. Not in time. A triple for Trevor Plouffe.
Well, Twins fans on their feet showing their appreciation. Trevor Plouffe hits this ball, and we both thought it was going to carry further than it did. Nelson Cruz on his leap looks like he might have had a shot at it, but he was about a foot short. The ball ricochets off, and then it was a matter of, Trevor, should you stay at second or can you leg it out to third? They had a good relay. Austin Jackson to Marte, and Trevor sneaks into third base.
Feet first slide. The hand on the bag. Infield in now for Torrey Hunter. Twins trying to tie it up. They had a great chance in the third, filling the bases with one out. But Montgomery got a ground ball double play off the bat of Joe Mauer. Now Hunter trying to drive in his 56th run.
Well, this is where the Twins got to pick up their game a little bit. Get the tying run in first and then add on.
Strike call. 1-1. Chopper wide of third. I started to say it's a significant day in Twins history. The Twins reacquired Bert Blyleven on this day in 1985, and then a year later he got his 3,000th strikeout in a ball game on the same day that Kirby Puckett hit for the cycle. So a lot of good things have happened on August 1st.
See no reason why that shouldn't continue here tonight.
1-2 to Hunter. Now 2-2.
The faithful are here in big numbers, wanting to cheer.
Take on a breaking ball. And a nice block by Zunino. Eddie Rosario, the on deck hitter. Full count to Hunter. Foul tip, still alive. Mentioned Montgomery originally in the Kansas City organization. He was in the class of the Hosmers and the Moustakas, the guys that were supposed to be key contributors to a resurging franchise in Kansas City. And another foul tip out of the glove of Zunino.
You got to remember, Kansas City, during those years when those players were drafted, they were stinking up the joint in the big leagues. So they were getting real good draft choices. That one hit off Torrey's back foot. But that's why you're seeing some of the productivity from the guys in the big leagues now with the Royals, is they were finally getting the better players in the draft.
And Torrey chases. 2 down, and now the Twins need Rosario, the rookie, to come up with a 2-out hit.
Third strikeout from Montgomery, just climbing the ladder out of the zone. Torrey just, his eyes light up when you see that high fastball, and you think you can catch up to it, but a pitcher's pitch right there.
Rosario hit a liner to Smith in left field for the 3rd out of the 2nd inning. Only 4 runs batted in for the rookie. And you see him do this sometimes, not all the time, to left-handers. That first step for Rosario, he really seems to open up.
Yeah, he definitely does it more with left-handers than right-handers, but not all the time. So maybe it's just a case where he's looking in and wants to really pull it.
Swing and a miss, 1-1.
I guess it's accepted if you do it on one pitch and then go back to your original game plan, but you don't want to see guys getting in the habit of doing that all the time, because they're going to be susceptible to the ball away.
Dribbler foul, 1-2. It's working. I mean, Rosario's hitting left-handers every bit as well as he's hitting right-handers. So the Twins aren't going to tinker with that.
No, and that's why I say I don't see him doing that on every pitch off a left-hander. I see it occasionally, and I think it's more of a case where he's just maybe looking middle half in and wants to cheat a little bit.
That gets away from the catcher, and here comes Plouffe with the tying run. Montgomery hooked a breaking pitch, and the Twins have tied it up.
Yeah, they get a break there. Maybe that's the break they need. But Trevor comes in, and we'll reload. Or reboot, as the Tigers say.
That's a tough one for a catcher to block, I would think. But here you just stare down the veteran Hunter, and you strike him out for a big 2nd out in the inning. And Rosario tried to turn on one, fouling it back.
What makes that hard is it's a slider. Now, a curveball is going to break more straight down, and it's going to bounce more straight up. But the slider is going away from the hitter, left-hander in this case, and Zunino's got to go hard to his left, knowing that the ball is going to ricochet and go even further left. That's what made it so tough.
Rosario hooks it foul between Butch Davis and the line. And the wildest pitches always seem to land in a batter's box. It's been chewed up by the spikes, and you know, you're not. Yep. It's not a parking lot.
No. No, of course they never hit the plate, which is flat.
Quick trip to the mound by Zunino. Plouffe with a 1-out triple coming in on a wild pitch. Up high, now 3-2 with Suzuki on deck. Up the middle, Marte with a sensational play and a collision at first base. The out is recorded. Rosario is on his knees, and Montero, the first baseman, is hurt. A tremendous play by Ketel Marte. And let's hope both players are okay.
Well, Montero, I think, got a leg or a knee in the head. Great play to get to that ball, threw it offline a little bit. You can see how Montero,
left knee hit him in the right side of the head. Rosario
carried him past the line. Rosario had nowhere to go.
The Twins may challenge this play on the other end here. The first concern about first concern about Rosario on the Twins side and Montero on Seattle side. And Rosario lingering, and there's no indication yet. Paul Molitor's already gotten the signal from his video guru Sean Harlan to not challenge it. The inning ends. Mariners got a run in the first. Twins tied it in the fourth. Our Mountain Dew fans of the game, multi-generational fans of the game, and those on the older end of the spectrum, I suspect, had a special treat seeing the members of the '65 American League champion Twins honored in a pregame ceremony. Now back to the business at hand. A 1-1 game in the fifth. Jesus Montero will hit. Strike one. Montero involved in that play at first base with Rosario colliding with him. Thankfully, Montero's hitting and Rosario's in left field. Tapped foul. Montero, Miller, and Zunino bottom third of the Mariner batting order. Down and away.
Kyle Gibson has faced the minimum over the last 2 innings. He had back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings. It'd be nice to see him get the guys back in the dugout here quickly.
Tapper left side. Escobar charges, digs out a hop, and throws to Mauer one away. I'm going to bring up Brad Miller. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand in true HD with MLB.TV Premium. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. MLB.TV Premium includes a free At-Bat 15 subscription. Watch live baseball on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Here's Brad Miller. Walked with 2 outs in the second and was left at first base. Ball one. Outside 2-0. Mariners with just 2 hits, but they came consecutively in the first with 1 out and were followed by a ground ball that scored the run. 3-0.
And Kyle had 2 quick strikes on Brad Miller in his first plate appearance, and then he hit him in the front knee on his breaking ball. Now he finds himself in a hole. and walks him on 4 straight.
4-pitch walk. Let's find Kevin Gord.
Yeah, guys, interesting conversation with Brian Dozier about the return of Trevor Plouffe. He said, hey, we've all been thinking about our friend and teammate, but it's a big part of our team to have our guy back. Not just the offense that he brings. We saw that last thing with the triple and the run scored on the wild pitch, but in the field, the chemistry in the clubhouse, he's one of our leaders, Brian said. Then I asked Trevor about being away, and he said it was a great 3 days, something he'll never forget. And he said last night, you got to start him young. On his lap, baby Teddy, watching the ball game, not the result that Trevor was looking for, but the first game for the young baby to watch. And Trevor was excited to be back here today, guys.
Thank you, Kevin, and congratulations again to Trevor and Olivia. On the first pitch, Miller took off. Zunino on a hit and run tried to punch the ball through the right side of the infield. Instead, he flared it over the Twins dugout. 1 strike. Dribbler right side. Dozier gets the lead runner. 1 down, or 2 down rather, and Zunino at first.
It's going to be a tough decision sometimes for the second baseman. You don't know exactly how far that runner is, and you know you want to always get the lead out if you can, but sometimes you're going to have to take the out at first base.
Ketel Marte still hitless. 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out in the first. The ball hard, lining out to Dozier in the third. And Suzuki with a nice job blocking that ball and keeping Zunino at first. Jack mentioned Kansas City held on to beat Toronto 7-6. Is it too early to try to figure out whether that's good for the Twins or bad for the Twins? I mean, right now they're in closer competition with Toronto than Kansas City.
Unfortunately, Baltimore is winning.
Oh, what a stop by Escobar. He won't get it out. That ball hit the mound and increased its topspin. And Escobar had to get that next hop, and somehow he caught the ball but couldn't turn it into an out.
We talked about it in the pregame. Roy and Anthony did. And we've mentioned that Danny Santana and Jorge Polanco were sent out last night after the game. More than likely, Eduardo Escobar is going to get a lot of reps at shortstop. And he knocks that ball down and was going to turn to throw it, and the ball dropped out of his glove.
Now the Mariners with a bit of a threat here. First and second, 2 down, and Kyle Seager, the batter. Single, a run scored, and a fly to center.
And give him a hit, which I think is the right call.
Just off the outside corner. Third Mariner hit. Seager got his with 1 out in the first and scored the lone Seattle run. And an 84-mile-per-hour changeup gets a swing and a miss.
And just a good sink on that off-speed pitch, and you can see how far Seager was way out in front of that one.
An odd hit, the first major league hit for Ketel Marte. The Mariners are hopeful he'll have many more down the road.
I don't know. Do you ask for the baseball when that's your first hit?
It's not a clean baseball. It hit the dirt around home plate. Hit the mound.
That doesn't matter.
1-2 to Seager. Gibson trying to quell this Seattle threat on his 72nd pitch.
And I've got to believe that there are a few first hits off of guys like Gaylord Perry and Mike Scott and Tommy John that were either cut or full of all sorts of foreign substances. So you just keep it anyway.
2-2. And Gibson wants to end matters here because Nelson Cruz has been stinging the ball series long, is in the on deck circle. You want to get the out. You want it to happen on this pitch. You certainly don't want to deliver ball 3 with runners at first and second. That's hit to right. Retreating is Hunter. End of inning.
Good job.
1 run for the Mariners in the first. Since then, Kyle Gibson has pitched shutout ball.
Night as well. Welcome inside the winner's circle from the Minnesota State Lottery. 100 scratch-off tickets, and boy, it's always fun when we get birthdays. This one a little extra special. Gary turned 75 today. Family in town from Omaha, and you were at Game 7 in 1965. How about that ceremony?
It was fabulous, absolutely. One of my favorite is Mudcat Grant. Great pitcher. It was just a great game to go to, and I even wore a silly straw hat to the game.
Dick had a silly straw hat on before the game tonight. You're getting circled by another Game 7 guy, Jack Morris, tonight since Bert's on vacation. Again, happy birthday. Enjoy the night.
Appreciate it very much. And can I say hi to Dick and Jack? Great job, guys.
Awesome job. 100 scratch-off tickets from the State Lottery. Uh-oh. Almost got hit by a ball.
And the ball goes out of play on a throwing error by Miller. His second error of the series. And Suzuki will go to second base. Now, what's silly about these straw hats? I don't get that.
Well, first of all, they might be dated about 3 generations.
Okay, well,
top hats were fashion statement in the 20s.
I don't know. I don't think that's silly at all.
Well,
no, I changed my opinion. It does look silly. You brought up an interesting point. I never even thought about it. On the inside of these things, and they handed them out at the World Series, as far as I know, for all 7 games. But it looks like a container, and you wondered whether popcorn came in these things.
It could have. I mean, as long as it wasn't buttered, because that would leave a little grease in your hair. But could have been popcorn.
Big at bat here for Escobar, and he bunts up the line and picked up or knocked down by Seager as soon as it crossed the line. He didn't want to have to try to make a play on Escobar, and the count's 1-1. Trying to keep it on the grass, and he rolled it right up the base path.
Wow. He almost touched it with it still on the chalk or the paint or whatever that is today. Used to be chalk.
Right.
I think it's more like a paint now.
1-1. Escobar will still try to advance Suzuki to third base. And trying to maybe get Escobar to betray his intentions. And Escobar did not move his hands up the bat barrel. Inside. Now, I don't know if this is a bunting situation. But what was your strategy on the mound? Runner at second, number 9 hitter up, was already shown that he wanted to bunt once. What did you want to throw and where?
Well, if he squares around, my contention was throw a strike. You know, he's going to give you an out, take the out. You might even get him to pop it up.
Right.
Or it might hit it hard enough right back at you that you might have a play at the runner at second.
But in terms of elevation of the pitch, you just wanted to throw it down the middle?
Pretty much, because if they're squaring around, rarely did I ever see a hitter, you know, bunt, come back and then have that swing. I mean, it happened once in a great while, but even then it's hard to put the ball in play.
Man, what an at-bat by the pitcher as he got in on Escobar and he bunted the ball fouled the second pitch away, and then the breaking pitch down and in, and Escobar does not advance the runner. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Boys and Girls Clubs help young people reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens through programs that promote character and leadership, education, healthy lifestyles, and more. Brian Dozier with a single his last time up. Breaking ball over the inside corner.
Again, Montgomery is basically breaking ball happy, but what he's done a great job of is missing the heart of the plate and then changing speed. So he's changing eye levels for the hitters by throwing the ball slower and faster.
From the mid-70s now to 80 and a foul ball, and quickly Dozier behind in the count, 0-2. Haven't done much against Montgomery, trying to take advantage of Miller's throwing error. Dozier takes one down and away.
Montgomery's the kind of guy, the way he's pitching tonight, if you're a Twins hitter, you just really got to be patient. He hasn't shown very many fastballs at all, and he wants to get you out by you being overly aggressive and chasing out of the zone.
Changeup gets Dozier on strike. 2 down.
5th strikeout now for Montgomery.
And some of them in key spots after base runners have gotten aboard. Escobar twice. Strikeout of Hunter with Plouffe getting a 1-out triple.
Just a real late break on that. Well, that might have been a changeup or a screwball or something.
I was saying that almost looked like a palm ball.
It broke like a curveball, but it was thrown more like a screwball.
Hicks reaches for a changeup and taps it foul. Again, we've seen an awful lot of that. Hicks with a single to right that filled the bases, and then on the next pitch, Mauer bounced into an inning-ending double play. Foul. The Twins hope for a better August, but as you said before, they need to handle situations like the one given them here in the 5th better. Escobar's got to advance that runner. It would have changed the whole inning. Might have brought the infield in.
They've really only had 2 scoring opportunities in this game other than the wild pitch that Trevor Plouffe scored on, and that was in the 3rd inning. Joe Mauer hits into a 4-6-3 double play, and then this inning right now.
Slower breaking ball in the dirt. Hicks takes for ball 1. Hicks is average at 295. Trying to put the Twins in front with a hit to the outfield. Checked his swing, or did he? He did, says Mike Malinsky. 2-2.
You can see the side angle.
That's the same pitch that struck Torrey Hunter out. Torrey didn't check.
Yeah, Montgomery likes to climb the ladder with the right-handers when he's ahead in the count. See if they'll chase out of the zone. Now it goes right back down.
Wow. Twins can't take advantage of the Miller error, and we're tied at 1 going to the 6th. Former Twins Cy Young Award winner Jim Perry will join us when we come back. came to the Twins in 1963, played a key role in the Twins winning the American League pennant in 1965. Camilo Pascual got hurt. Twins moved Perry into the rotation, and he had a great year. Won 7 straight starts, went 12-7 that year, and we're very happy to have Jim Perry with us to talk about the 1965 season, the fun everyone's having this weekend. Good to see you again, Jim. You look like it's still pitch.
Thank you for having me here. I work hard. I keep myself in pretty good shape.
Right. I'm guessing your golf game is in tip-top shape.
Well, it could have improvement, but I played pretty well. I shoot under my age.
We had a chance to visit yesterday during breakfast, and the 1964 season wasn't the best for the Twins. Kind of one of the more disappointing years in Twins history because the team was so good in '63. And in your mind, what happened to get things turned around in 1965?
It started in spring training. We knew we had the player to hit the home runs and make the plays. It started right there. We know we're going to win this year. We worked hard at it, and we had all the 4 starting pitchers and relievers and defense and home run hitters.
And then it helped, of course. I'm sure you appreciated the improved play at short of Zoilo Versalles.
Great shortstop. He made some ungodly plays, and then he can miss the one right straight to him.
Talk to us a little bit, Jim, about that confidence and how you felt that you could overcome the Yankees, because they were the dynasty and the powerhouse and the perennial team to beat.
Yeah, well, I think what we did, we played day by day, just win, and let happen. That's what we did, and we didn't look back at what the Yankees were doing. We just went and win, and then worry about what they did. And we had a bunch of guys that really worked hard out there, and everybody was a family, pull for each other in the position. Maybe he was sitting on a bench, but he still was pulling the other guy to do well.
Down and away 3-2. Jim, I think you mentioned it during the breakfast yesterday, and Jack, you can relate to this. Some of the better teams you were on after the game, if you had a day game, you'd have as many as 15 guys or so going out for dinner together with wives, parents, whatever.
We on the road, we probably 15 guys would go out to dinner on the road together. We were just a close knit family.
And Nelson Cruz continues to terrorize Twins pitching. He's hit just about everything right on the button in this series. A double in the first inning, and now another home run into the bullpen. Hit a home run to right field last night. And the Mariners retake the lead 2-1.
We talk about location all the time, and that ball just spun. It wasn't his best slider. Gibby needs to get that ball down and away. Jim, you want to comment on that? You saw the same thing I did.
You got to have the ball. The guy's hitting like that. You got to keep it in on him or way down. You just can't give him that ball down the middle. He's got to hit your pitch if he's going to get on.
1-0 now to Robinson Cano.
When you look back, Jim, about your World Championship team, or not World Championship, but American League Championship team, World Series team, and all these years have gone by, you come back to the Twin Cities here, and you get the great, deserving attention that you guys got out there. It was wonderful for me to see it. What do you remember most that you want to express to these fans and listeners about that team?
Well, they were a close-knit family, and even our wives were close-knitted there. So we were on the road. We were a team that we just played hard and let things take its place, and we happened to be on the winning side. We won this close ball game.
Later on, great success, 2-time 20-game winner with the Twins, Cy Young Award winner in 1970. Players talk about being in the World Series as being the pinnacle of their careers. Was that the case for you, even though the Twins lost the World Series? You got to pitch in the World Series a couple times?
Yeah, I pitched the last inning of the 7th game. In fact, I struck out Koufax, and then I thought I had Mary Wills. I thought I had him struck out. They walked him, and Earl Betty came to the mound and said, "Now give me a chance. I know he's going to try to steal." So I didn't pick my foot up off the ground too much, and Earl threw him out for 2 steps.
Oh, is that right? That's how the Dodgers.
Next guy popped up.
Okay.
Then we 2-0. We had the big guys coming up. I thought maybe we'd get some runs, but we didn't get any runs. And Koufax was tough.
Swing and a miss, 2 strikes.
Let me comment about this. In the '65 World Series, I was very disappointed because I didn't get a start. I won 7 games and got back, and they come back and put Camilo back in there. And when I'd been pitched there, I think I should have had a chance to pitch one of the games. I was disappointed, and Killebrew was kind of disappointed in that too, because he was I pitched hard and got in there. I think I should have had a chance.
In sequence, the Twins started Mudcat Grant. He went the distance in the win. Jim Cott went the distance in the win. And Camilo Pascual started and pitched, I believe, into the 6th inning or through 5. And then in game 4, Mudcat came back again. Jim Cott in game 5, Grant in game 6, and then Jim Cott in game 7.
Well, I go back in 1957. You remember we were playing Boston. We had to win 1 game in Boston.
Yeah.
We were independent. And really, Boston was really my cousin. I beat them all the time. And I had a 4-day rest. And Harmon was really upset that I didn't get a chance to start again that last game. I beat him all the time, and he started Jim Cott. He only had 2 days rest. And I was ready. I had my 4 days rest and ready to pitch, and didn't do it. So some of the guys were kind of disappointed at.
Now we're talking critical late season games or in the postseason. How common was it for pitchers to start on less rest than back then it was 3 days? Because now somebody gets thrown out of their routine, and it's like you're asking them to reinvent the wheel somehow, just if they get an extra day or 2.
Well, Jackie knows it's a different kind of game today. They pitch from 3 to 5 innings, and then they get the other guys to pitch. That 1 year I pitched like 280 innings. But you had to pitch
with that arm, and it's still attached to your body.
Their body. You go there. What helped me a little bit is I had to control. I was at the ball 94.
Escobar backhands, picks himself up, makes a nice play out number 2. That'll bring up Austin Jackson.
Yeah, but I had that with to get in the rest. I like to pitch every 4 days. The 4th day I like to pitch. That's what we did, all our guys, every 4 days. Now it's 5 and 6 days.
Did you ever pitch on a 5-day rotation?
No,
never. Your whole career.
Oh, 4 days.
Wow.
At one time, with 1969, Billy Martin, the manager, I had the best spring training in the pitcher. He said, well, look, I don't need but 3 starters the first 2 weeks. And you know the guy that got the arm can help me in the bullpen. Go there, and after 2 weeks, I'll give you a start. And I started after 2 weeks. I won 20 ball games that year. But I had to go and help the team that time, so I did it. You know?
Well, I don't imagine there was an arbitration process, or you could call your agent and complain to the general manager. It didn't work that way back then.
Didn't have no agent. I was my own agent.
Another one hit to deep center. This one chased by Hicks, and now over. He makes the catch. The ball hit about 15 feet short of where Cruz hit his home run, leading off the inning to give the Mariners the lead. Always great to see you, Jim, and we thank you for the visit.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Stay healthy. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's. Have both for breakfast with the new chorizo burrito from McDonald's. A lot of special people out there, members of the 65 Twins World Championship or American League Championship team. Mauer slicing the first pitch to left and put away easily by Seth Smith. One quick out. And that'll bring up Miguel Sano. Been a tough night for Mauer. He hit into a double play that stopped a rally in the third, and now hit a ball hard here leading off the sixth, but it was caught by Smith. One down. Got a little information about these straw hats that you've ridiculed.
Whoa.
They sold for the ballpark $2 each. Made in St. Paul.
Wait a minute. Actual manufacturer cost was?
Well, I don't know about
2
that.
cents?
They sold them for $2. I'm amazed, actually, to be honest with you. When I got this years ago at Twins Fest,
it's in perfect shape.
It is, and I was amazed that styrofoam even existed in 1965.
Well, they had to make coolers.
I thought that was like a well, but when did styrofoam get invented? I need to find that out. I'm going to Google that.
See what it leads to
after the game.
It's just one thing after another. Just because of your lovely hat.
I bet you styrofoam was one of those things that was somebody's accident. He was trying to do something else.
Frankenstein.
And the result was styrofoam. Kind of like sauerkraut. I bet you sauerkraut was that way too.
Do you?
Yeah.
How about Lutefisk?
Oh. Sano with a swing and a foul. 2-2. Sano for 2. And now Zunino to the mound. Mariners have given Montgomery his second lead.
What's that pitch before that? Change up or?
Twins had a chance to take their first lead in the 5th. Mariners gave him an extra out and a runner at second base to start the inning. But nothing happened. Nothing good. And Sano takes up.
Well, the Twins just continue to struggle a little bit at the plate. That great performance last night, only 1 hit, and that was by Sano. Tonight, only 4 hits, and we're in the 6th.
And not close. Sano takes a walk. And he's aboard with 1 out in the 6th. That'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. Join us August 16th for a Super America Knothole Kids Day. The Twins taking on the Indians. The first 5,000 fans, 14 and under, get a TC plush presented by Delta Airlines. Go to twinsbaseball.com/tickets and get your tickets today. Plouffe tripled off the fence in right center field and scored on a wild pitch. That's been the extent of the Twins' run scoring here tonight. Inside ball 1. The beauty of Twitter. Now people have already informed me. Styrofoam invented in 1941 by someone by the name of Ray McIntyre.
Well, Ray was a fisherman, needed some ice.
And the Twins hit into another inning-ending double play. Mauer in the 3rd and now Plouffe in the 6th. And you're watching the Mariners and Twins, brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import. Mariners leading 2-1.
Yeah, it's a fun night for all those guys and even for the fans. Wild pitch brings in Trevor Plouffe. The Twin ties the game. That ties the game for the Twins, and then Nelson Cruz does it again. This one to left center field bullpen. No question about that one. Mariners up 2-1 here in the top of the 7th inning.
Bottom third of the Seattle lineup, starting with Jesus Montero. Brad Miller, Mike Zunino will follow. Hit hard into the left field corner. Montero jumps on the first pitch, and Rosario will get to it quickly, holding him to a single. That looked like a double from the moment it left home plate. But Rosario getting a well-deserved quick round of applause in the left field corner. He got there in a hurry. A single, and before Miller's at bat, our Carsoup.com trivia question: which 4 pitchers, Twins pitchers, had 10 or more wins in 1965? Well, Jim Perry's on that list. Jim Cott's on that list.
We could get him.
I think we got this one. Here's Brad Miller. Miller has walked twice. Baltimore leading Detroit 6-2. Top of the 8th inning. J.D. Martinez had to leave after fouling a ball off a leg. Missing the down and away corner, ball 1.
Logan Morrison, who has been benched here, not playing in any game. He was the guy that was playing first base primarily. He's going to have to run for Montero.
It's interesting. Morrison's got a bad thumb, and we're told isn't prepared yet to swing a bat, but we're faced with the prospect, the likely prospect, that this spot's going to come around in the order again. Now maybe Morrison just pinch running and someone else will be playing first base. Strike on the outside corner.
Well, they've got Mark Trumbo, Jesus Sucre,
right.
Franklin Gutierrez, who doesn't really move all that well anymore, so you don't have a lot of options with speed if you're Lloyd McClendon.
One and 1. And now 1 and 2. Gibson's done well here as he approaches 100 pitches.
Well, there's some activity now in the Twins pen. You can see it's Casey Fiend, the right-hander, and Ryan O'Rourke, the left-hander, both warming up.
One and 2. Cracked foul.
This is where Kyle kind of hit a wall in his last start. Right around the 100 pitch count, he started really scuffling. It was a hot night against the Yankees here at Target Field, and the ball started getting up in the zone. And we're seeing it a little bit more here later in the game. He was really good and effective down in the zone with his slider and his sinker, his changeup. And hopefully he won't elevate pitches up in the zone here to get hurt. More than likely, this is his last inning. He knows it. Might even be his last hitter, so he's got to go hard, really concentrate, try to make good pitches down in the zone.
Twins haven't turned a double play behind him yet. Here's a ball hit to left center field and deep. Hicks galloping after it, and the ball hits the fence. Morrison, it will be held at third. It's a double with Hicks reaching and unable to catch the ball just as it hit the fence. So Miller cracks a double off the fence in left center, and the Mariners have a big threat here. Second and third, nobody out.
Well, the ball up again. Slider didn't go, and Hicks, he didn't react to that ball all that great. Now, I know it's going to be a tough play against the wall like that, but it's not a play that Aaron Hicks hasn't made before. If he gets to the warning track in time, I just think it took him a second or two to really react to the ball, and it was enough for Brad Miller to get a double.
Zunino, the batter, with the infield in. Things in play here with the Mariners trying to add another run, tried to hit and run with Zunino last time. Gotta watch out for the squeeze play here. And Suzuki digs out a breaking ball. 1 strike.
Watch Aaron's reaction. You can see the ball was already over the infielder's head before he reacted to that. And typically he gets a little bit better jump. That first step sometimes is so important. Ball hung up there plenty long enough had he read it right away.
Popped up short center field. The pinch runner Morrison setting up for a tag. And Hicks with a throw on 1 hop to Suzuki. No tag, 1 out.
You can almost tell that Morrison was only going to take a little bluff to see if maybe the throw would be wide and then he could advance. But Aaron Hicks, just a strong, accurate arm. And I think accuracy being the key to that particular play. He threw the ball absolutely perfect. 1 hop to Kurt Suzuki. Let's watch the throw again. Can see that Joe Mauer's the cutoff man, and he throws it right. Perfect throw.
Gibson's got 8 fly ball outs, which is a high number for him. He's going to try to get Marte to hit it on the ground here, with the Twins bringing the infield in even shorter. Fox Tracks presented by Carrier. On the ground, right to the second baseman, Dozier.
Good job.
2 down.
Big out. Now 1 more. Can't let off.
And it'll be Seager.
Well, the next 3 hitters, the heart and soul of the Mariner lineup, Seager, Cruz, and Cano. So he can maybe pick one of the 2 between Seager and Cruz. And if I'm Kyle right now, I'm not going to pitch to Cruz. So he's got to go after him here. But again, make good pitches. This could be the story of the game for Kyle Gibson, how he pitches this final hitter that he's going to face.
Seager made the last out of the 5th inning with a fly ball to right. Actually hit the ball on a line right to Torrey Hunter. Again, a block by Suzuki. Ball 1. No 20 pitch innings or anything like that.
Yeah, close, 18 and 19, but for the most part, Kyle's pitched pretty good ball game. A home run by Cruz being the difference right now.
1-0, 2-0, and again, as it was in the 5th inning, Gibson's got to get Seager here. The way Cruz is swinging it in this series, you don't want to face him here in the 7th. You'd rather him lead off the 8th. There were 2 men on when Seager was up in the 5th, and Gibson got him on the ball hit to Hunter. Suzuki to the mound. Now you've got a base open, but the specter of Cruz is looming awfully large here. You want to take care of business in this at bat.
Seager more likely to take the tough pitches of the 2 hitters. I feel Cruz is going to go up there with bases loaded if he has that opportunity, and he's not going to be happy with a walk, even though it would put them ahead. So knowing that, you just have to be careful with Seager here.
Dribbler right side. Maybe a game can turn with a great job by Kyle Gibson, pitching out of a mess in the 7th. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and the Mariners don't score. countless Minnesota hiking trails that traverse a variety of scenery. Visit exploreminnesota.com and discover a world that's only in Minnesota. Share and tag your Minnesota experiences with hashtag #OnlyInMN. Short, easygoing trails for day hikes, more rugged, long-distance paths for backpacking adventures. Minnesota's got one of the nation's great diverse state park systems, more than 227,000 acres and 76 parks and recreation areas. And by the way, tonight's broadcast of Twins baseball is being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving around the world on land and on ships at sea. Welcome. Thank you for your service. And for those of you serving and watching around the world who happen to be from Minnesota, a treat with this special night here.
Yeah, I agree with all the things you just said. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Torrey Hunter will lead off the 7th inning.
New pitcher, yeah.
Tom Wilhelmsen.
He's pitched quite a bit.
Swing and a miss. Wilhelmsen, a former closer.
Well, Mike Montgomery did a nice job for the Mariners tonight. Along just the one, it ended up being an earned run on the wild pitch, but only allowed 4 hits over 6 innings. So very good job.
Hit hard to left, but Smith is there to catch the line drive. 1 down. And that'll bring up Eddie Rosario. Wilhelmsen's given up a lot of hits, 38 of them as you saw in 33 2/3 innings, just 2 home runs, 18 walks. That's been his issue and was when he was a closer. Rosario 0 for 2. Had a bit of an awkward play in his last at bat in the 4th inning. The second baseman Marte made a nice play on his backhand side and then threw a little bit off target, and then Montero and Rosario collided for the 3rd out of the 4th inning.
Twins need base runners. A walk will work, a hit will work, any way to get on right now. And now Trevor May joins Casey Fiend in the bullpen. Ryan O'Rourke sitting down momentarily anyway.
2-0 to Rosario. And now 3-0. In Wilhelmsen's last year as a closer, 2013, got 24 saves. He pitched 59 innings and walked 33 guys. That's too many walks for a closer when you're walking an average of 5 or 6 per 9 innings pitched. And Rosario takes a 4-pitch walk.
Well, especially in these close ball games where one swing of the bat now could put the Twins out in front.
As promised earlier in the game, we've selected the Data Strong Fan photo of the game. You can tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag North Data Strong Fan. A chance to be featured in the broadcast, brought to you by T-Mobile. Youngster happy to be at the ballpark. Well, the Twins trying to get this thing tied up. Suzuki's reached both times, once with a single and once on an error to Brad Miller. Down and away, ball 1. Rosario can run a little bit. Wilhelmsen needs to be aware of his speed at first base. Conservative lead and a throw. Rosario 8 for 13 stolen bases. Twins have stolen 50. They've been caught 32 times.
Well, this is the part of the game that Paul Mahler talked about a lot in spring training and wanted to be a part of the Twins attack. To be able to put a runner in scoring position here with speed is an element that the Twins would love to have, but as you can see by the pitch out there, the Mariners are going to be aware of that. You're only trailing by a run, so you don't want to see a guy thrown out, the leadoff man, or excuse me, the second guy up in the inning. You've got to get him to second base some way, somehow. But ultimately, he's got to score. So you don't want him thrown out. Hit and run, maybe. You usually don't do that with 1 out.
Popped up. And Zunino looks like he has room. Oh, Morrison, the first baseman, calls him off. 2 down. We'll bring up Escobar, who's probably thrilled that Mike Montgomery was taken out of the game. Escobar with 2 disappointing at-bats, striking out quickly, and in the case of his 5th inning at-bat, Suzuki had just been sent to second base on a throwing error, and Escobar tried to advance him to third, once with a bunt, and 3 pitches later Escobar struck out.
Good news is he's facing a different pitcher, a right-hander, so he gets to hit from the left side. Maybe that'll change his evening.
Escobar's been much better from this side of the plate. Pulled foul. I've always felt and mentioned it many times on TV that to me switch hitting has got to be the most mentally challenging thing to do in this game, short of switch pitching, I suppose. Pat Venditti of Oakland didn't last very long before he got hurt, but that's got to be awfully challenging as well. And we've talked about it when Roy Smalley was a really good switch hitter, has been in the booth. But you go, forget year to year, you probably go week to week where you feel much better from one side of the plate than you do from the other. And Escobar pops it up left side of the infield. Miller wants it. And he's got it. Wilhelmsen pitches a scoreless 7th, and it's still 2-1. Series on Fox Sports North is brought to you by Chrysler. Enjoy your summer in style with great deals at the Chrysler Summer Clearance event. Dick Bramer, Kevin Gord, Jack Morris, Jim Cott, Jim Perry. Enjoying a wonderful night here at the ballpark, but yet the Twins are trailing 2-1. And as we go to the 8th inning, Casey Fiend comes out of the Twins pen.
Casey in his 33rd game, and it was interesting talking to Terry Ryan yesterday. I listened to Terry Ryan talking about the new acquisition out there and Kevin Jepsen. He mentioned Casey Fiend, that Jepsen doesn't throw as many strikes as Fiend, and maybe he was sending a subliminal message about Fiend that maybe he throws too many strikes. But in either case, the Twins are going to need him to get 3 outs here in the 8th.
See if he can retire Nelson Cruz, who's had a very destructive series from the Twins' perspective. Doubled, contributed to the first inning run, homered leading off the 6th to give the Mariners a 2-1 lead. Escobar to a knee to Mauer, and Cruz is retired for the first out of the 8th inning. Go back to our CarSoup.com trivia question, talking about The 65 Twins won a 102 ball games, and 4 pitchers were in double digits in wins. Cott and Perry, Mudcat Grant, and Al Worthington out of the bullpen. Yep. And now Casey Fiend brought in to get just Nelson Cruz, because Cruz is 0 for 9 now against Casey Fiend. And with left-hand hitting Robinson Cano due up next, Twins are going to bring in Ryan O'Rourke. Retro look on this night when we honor the 65 Twins. Sanford Health injury report. Boy, it seems like there are a lot of pitchers since the trading deadline that are going down. C.J. Wilson's probably done for the year. He needs his elbow cleaned out again. And A.J. Burnett has got some right elbow inflammation, and the Pirates are really going to hope that he gets back. And the Pirates leading in the National League wildcard race by 4 games.
Been a big part of the Pirate rotation and their success this year.
Michael Pineda, we told you last night in the Yankees, boy, the Yankee rotation's awfully thin. And after pitching here against the Twins, he is on the disabled list. Here's Ryan O'Rourke facing Robinson Cano with 1 down in the 8th. Cano 0 for 3, drove in the first Mariner run with a ground ball in the first inning. Strike 1. Talked to Ryan before the game today as I was down on the field for the ceremony, and we're talking about the 65 World Series, and I said, Ryan, the winning pitcher in all 7 games went the distance. And jokingly I said, you know, back then guys like you didn't exist. Situational left-handers, there was no such a thing. He says, I think the game is much better the way it's played today.
Of course he does.
1-1.
Well, the Twins decided that they'd send 2 shortstops out and keep the bullpen intact and add another pitcher.
Yeah, and that's one of the reluctant things I think a team would do on August 1st. Try to move forward now with a 13-man pitching staff, but the Twins haven't been getting quality starts.
3 guys off the bench for Paul Molitor now, so it's more pitchers in the pen, more help in the bullpen. The starters could go deeper. They wouldn't probably be that need, but they also want both of the young kids they sent out, Danny Santana and Jorge Polanco, to get their at-bats and reps at shortstop.
O'Rourke continues to be outstanding, particularly against lefties, as he strikes out Cano on a check swing.
Well, that'll keep you alive and keep a job security in today's game, right? Just do that.
O'Rourke now has faced 16 left-handed batters. He's given up 1 hit. Actually, he's faced 18 because he's walked 2 men, but he has 10 strikeouts. in 16 at bats against lefties. Another lefty standing in. Strike one to Smith.
Well, a lot of these guys, you know, first time around, I think the advantage is always the pitcher. Hitters haven't seen much of O'Rourke. He's new to the league. He starts Seth Smith off with just a kind of a get me over slider, but it was a strike, and then he throws one off the plate down in the zone. Gets Seth Smith, who is probably thinking fastball, to swing out of the zone. Now he's got him set up for anything.
I think what you talked about is a little bit of what Caleb Thielbar ran into. I think Thielbar has got a similar deceptive delivery like O'Rourke. I think the league kind of caught on to Caleb a little bit, designated for assignment with the acquisition of Jepson.
Well, it's important that Neil Allen and Paul Molitor use him in the right situations, and he's doing very well against left-handers, so that's the situation that they want him in.
Now to deep left, Rosario near the edge of the track makes the catch, a scoreless eighth. Twins down a run. You're watching the Mariners and Twins, brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200, America's import.
Right after the Game 4 Twins Live, presented by Central. I think we've seen something you might have seen in 65 from Sandy Koufax and Jim Cott. It's a pitcher's duel on a Saturday night. Yes, the Mariners have been on cruise control. They've been getting that great pitching and getting some offense from Mr. Cruz. We'll take you inside the clubhouse here from the manager, Paul Molitor, get his thoughts on this series as it's progressing. And hopefully, guys, it'll be a smiling Paul Molitor and a comeback. We've seen some unbelievable comebacks. We're just down one run here. This can be done.
We'll see what happens. The Twins running out of outs and innings and all that. At the top of the order, lined up to face former closer Fernando Rodney. Rodney taken out of the closer's role. The Mariners felt his numbers weren't very good because he was tipping his pitches. Basically, two pitches, right? Fastball, great changeup.
Well, his signature appearance is the hat that's on sideways. And when he does well, he likes to shoot the bow and arrow into the sky after a save.
There's Dozier, 1 for 3 tonight. And the fastball still into the mid-90s. Dozier takes it, strike one.
Fernando Rodney has been a closer for a couple different teams over his career. The Tigers, the Tampa Bay Rays, Seattle Mariners.
There's a changeup at 83.
And I think what's made him so effective as that closer is you never really know where it's going. I mean, he's been very effectively wild. He's got swing and miss stuff. He had a split finger for a while, which is his changeup. and he's got a good hard fastball.
And the fastball fouled back. 1-2. Haven't done a good job of getting the leadoff man on, and when they haven't pushed him around to score. Dozier trying to get aboard. Fastball off the outside corner. 2-2. Eight home runs allowed in 42 innings. That's up the line and foul. Seager picking it up as soon as across the line. Still 2-2. Hicks and Mauer to follow here in the eighth. You mentioned the Twins bench with the 8-man bullpen. Really a couple of speed options, and that's about it. Nunez and Robinson. Fryer the third man on the bench.
Well, really, it's almost a two-man bench because Fryer's only going to be in a game in case Suzuki gets hurt. They can't afford to switch catchers. Very few teams do that anymore. He's kind of an insurance policy for the day catcher.
And now ball 3. Throughout his career, even when he's been his most effective, Rodney's always been susceptible to walks. Dozier with 40 of those so far on the season.
One of the reasons is Rodney's always had a very violent delivery. He kind of has a little stutter step and then he explodes towards home plate, and his body never really is in great command. That's the split finger right there, that change up, and when it's good, it's very good. And I think sometimes that's what made him such a great closer, is that you didn't know if he was going to throw it for a strike or not. Good changeup right there.
See the grip used. Fastball at 95, changeup at 83. One down, and now Aaron Hicks. Hicks came into the game hitting nearly 400 right-handed and 239 left-handed. His hit in the third came right-handed. Pop foul. 1-1. Hicks has some power, 5 home runs, but 4 of those from the right side of the plate in far fewer at bats against left-handed pitching. 1 home run and 113 at bats from this side of the plate. And he took the changeup for a called strike 2. There doesn't appear to be a lot of side-to-side movement with either one of the pitches. Basically, he's a front and back pitcher.
That's it. You can't be side to side when you don't have enough command.
Another changeup missing, 2-2. Hicks has only faced Rodney once. Dozier had faced him 3 times. Mauer's seen him the most, of course. 17 at bats and 5 hits. Called, third strike, 2 down. Now to take a look at the road ahead presented by Chrysler. One more game in this homestand and series, and then the Twins will bring their passports and go to Toronto. You're on the road trip, right?
I am.
Okay. And then 4 games in Toronto, a day game on Monday. So keep that in mind. It's a road trip where all the games are on television. In fact, announcement made the other day, from here on out, Fox Sports North is televising all the games. You just need to figure out when the start time is, what time zone we're in, and all that. Here's Mauer with 2 strikeouts for Rodney in the 8th. Ball 1. Bauer 0 for 2 with a walk. To the left field corner, deep but foul. Mariners still have the outfield shift on, but now about 30 feet deeper. I mean, they're out there in the no doubles defense here in the 8th inning. You can see Jackson in center, Smith in left, even Cruz and Wright are no more than 15 feet from the warning track. 1-1 to Bauer. Ball strike 2. And that's the problem. The changeup is so good. The fastball, as straight as it is,
becomes better.
And you get a lot of called third strikes. We saw that in Hicks's at bat on the fastball. Bauer took a hittable fastball, it seemed, for strike 2. And now the changeup, and it's 2-2.
He's got 2 plus pitches is what he has. He has a plus fastball and a plus changeup. So with that being said, hitters that might guess have to guess one or the other. And if they guess wrong, they're going to really look silly because he's got plus pitches on both sides.
2-2. Wins with just 1 run on the board last night. Only 1 run up there so far tonight. Up, foul away. Sano trying to stay limber, hoping to hit here in the 8th. The changeup hung.
Yeah, he left that one up, but again, he takes enough off of it where Joe is out in front, and he tried to use his hands to make contact, but the bat was underneath the pitch, and all he could do was foul it back.
Struck him out with a changeup. And Rodney, no longer a 9th inning pitcher, does a great job in the 8th as he strikes out the side. Hits, including a home run last night and a couple of extra base hits in the go-ahead home run in the 6th tonight. Fernando Rodney with a very strong 8th inning.
Can't ask for any more out of Rodney if you're a Mariner fan.
Trevor May now will come on out of the Twins bullpen to pitch to the Mariners in the 9th.
If the Twins are going to have a chance at all, Trevor May is going to have to do something similar, get the Twins right back in the dugout, and hope that Sano, Plouffe, and Hunter will be able to get the job done.
Austin Jackson and Logan Morrison will hit, and then Brad Miller. Strike one. Jackson struck out in the 2nd. Part of an 0 for 3 night. 1-1.
96-mile-an-hour fastball. So Trevor May adding a little velocity out of the bullpen.
And that's why the Twins' handling of May makes sense, in that May would not be the first guy moved to the bullpen, asked to pitch 1 inning at a time, who saw that spike in velocity. He's had some success as a starter, but the need for the Twins. Fly ball center field. Hicks circles around, comes in. And it was underscored again by the acquisition of Kevin Jepson to pitch 7th and 8th inning work. That's where the need was. 1 down. And now Morrison will try to swing here. He's had a difficult time with a sprained thumb. Got jammed a couple of times, and so this will be an interesting at bat for Morrison. And whether he is in the lineup tomorrow might depend on how he fares in this 9th inning at bat. Breaking ball and strike 1.
Well, if you know that, you just pound him in. And that was a slider in. We'll see if he throws fastballs in, especially early in the count. See how he reacts to it. The hitters will let you know if they're feeling good or not by their swings.
Fastball.
I want to know part of that pitch, and that was a great pitch, period. Not a lot of guys in the game, in the history of the game, could hit that pitch right there, right underneath the hands and the belt, with some giddy up on it.
So far, we haven't learned anything about Morrison's thumb. He stood there and taken 2 strikes.
Maybe he's supposed to. Maybe he's got
to
the
stand
take.
up there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the take. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. He looks like he's trying to focus, as if he's ready to take a healthy hack at this 4th pitch. And he does, and hits it hard, foul. Catch by the fan there. Great example to set for your son. If you're going to ask your son to bring your glove, or his glove, Dad better bring his.
Way to go, Dad.
1-2. And Suzuki can't hang on to the foul tip.
97.
We saw that with LaTroy Hawkins years ago. Well, we might see LaTroy next week pitching for the Blue Jays, but he was a starter and things didn't go well. And then when the Twins moved him to the bullpen, they saw a spike in his velocity. Ball, 3rd strike. 2 gone in the 9th inning. Well, Morrison took a couple of healthy hacks, 3 of them in the at bat. And on that last pitch, 97 miles per hour.
No, I'm more impressed with the location. He was able to double up inside, right underneath the hands on the inside corner. And that's a pitch. It doesn't have to be 97. It helps to be 97 because you lock the hitter up.
See, you might have missed your calling. You threw, what do you figure you threw? 93, maybe?
Oh, yeah, I averaged 92, topped out at maybe 95 in the postseason.
If they had just put you in the bullpen?
Oh, yeah, I'd have pitched for 40 years. You don't get tired, you don't work, you pitch 25 innings a year, 30, 40, you know.
2 strikes to Brad Miller.
You know, the funny thing is, we had Jim Perry, in the booth here, and they talked about there was no relief needed in the World Series back in '65.
Right.
And the way the game was played back in those years, there was no glory. There was no reason to be in the pen. Nowadays there is.
Dozier flips. May has a good 1-2-3 ninth inning. Twins need 1 to tie, 2 to win. With Miguel Sano leading off the bottom of the ninth. Sano will lead off the ninth. As we take a look at what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Hisashi Iwakuma, some thought he might be moved before the trading deadline, and he'll face right-hander Mike Pelfrey in the series and homestand finale.
Twins got one more crack in this game. They're going to face the new Mariner closer, Carson Smith. Got 9 saves on the year.
Look at that opponent batting average, 9 saves and 10 tries, 53 strikeouts, 41 innings. Going into the break, Twins had 2 dramatic walk-off wins. Brian Dozier providing a home run in each case. And now after the break, the Twins could really use one. 4 walk-off wins on the year. Mid-April against Cleveland, mid-June against the Cardinals. And then the 2 Dozier home runs in the homestand before the break. Sano 0 for 2 with a walk. To the right field corner. Fair! Sano starts the inning with an extra base hit on Smith's first pitch.
Well, that'll bring the crowd into this game.
For the first time in 2 nights.
Yeah, they're on their feet, hoping for that kind of comeback you just mentioned. The new Papa going to have the first crack at it, Trevor Plouffe.
Plouffe tripled to right center field. That extra base hit sandwiched by a couple of ground balls. One of them turned into an inning-ending double play. Sano lifted for Shane Robinson, the runner now at second base. Plouffe takes a breaking ball, strike 1. The first walk-off win for the Twins this year came on a Plouffe home run on April 17th. All 4 walk-offs have been with the long ball. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Now we've seen Trevor more than most Twins hitters show the ability to use the whole field. And even though he's still very strikeout prone, seems to have a decent 2-strike approach. See what he can get done here. 3 breaking pitches. Blue strikes out. And now Hunter. Sidearm delivery. A biting breaking ball, and Plouffe took 1 and swung a 2 out of the strike zone. Hunter 0 for 3, a fly to left, a strikeout, and a liner to left.
Part of a closer's mentality is understanding the aggressiveness of the hitter trying to win ball games late. And if you can sense that a hitter is just going to chase out of the zone, that's where you want to pitch him.
Oh! That ball gets away from the catcher. Nearly hit Hunter, and Robinson is at third.
I don't know how that ball didn't hit Torrey Hunter.
Twins scored their run in the 4th inning on a wild pitch, and now what might help them here in the 9th? Wow.
I don't know how it gets any closer without hitting them. That's doing the limbo right there.
And now Lloyd McClendon will come out and talk to Smith. The Mariners have already brought the infield in, and now the manager with a trip to the mound. See any activity in the Mariner bullpen. Now let's listen to the pitch that nearly hit Torrey Hunter. There's no protest from Zunino, the catcher, about that pitch actually hitting Torrey's bat. So a strategy session conducted by the manager himself. 1-0 to Hunter, with the Mariners bringing the infield in.
Well, they've got the infield shaded in a little bit too. They're going to want to be able to try to make a play at the plate from the outfield.
Breaking ball, 2-0.
Whoa.
And Zunino boxes up the catch a little bit, and Robinson came toward home but stopped about a third of the way. He did not catch that. He blocked that ball with the instep of his right shoe. Swing and a miss on that breaking pitch. And it's 2-1.
He really hasn't come close at all with these last few breaking balls. But Torrey Hunter, especially after getting thrown at up and in, he wants to tie this game up. So he's being aggressive at the plate.
Right back to the pitcher. Robinson can't score. The ball underhanded to first. And that'll leave everything up to Rosario. A one-hopper right back to the glove of the pitcher Smith. Rosario 0 for 2 with a walk. And situational hitting. The Twins' inability to get hits or productive outs. Infield release to normal depth, and they will walk Rosario to pitch to Kurt Suzuki. They will walk the winning run.
Well, here is a situation where Paul Molitor, and the fact that they only have 3 guys in the bench, Shane Robinson, one of them being used, he doesn't have a lot of options. He's got Eric Fryer, who's got to stay available as the backup catcher, and Eduardo Nunez.
Suzuki with one of the 5 Twins hits that came back in the 3rd inning. And And so Rosario is passed. And Kurt Suzuki, last year, was one of the better clutch hitters for the Twins. Obviously, that's not been the case this year. That's a bit of a risky move for a manager to walk the winning run on base. See what Suzuki can get done.
It's really not any ill respect to Rosario, I don't believe. It's just the fact that they think they can get Suzuki out. They feel with Carson Smith's breaking ball, he's got a chance.
To the wax stop.
There it is.
Here comes Robinson, and both Twins runs have scored on wild pitches.
Wow.
And Rosario rounding second base, and he was standing halfway toward third. Both Twins runs scoring on a 2-out wild pitch.
Well, if you didn't believe that history repeats itself, you should now. Happened twice in this game.
Zunino had no chance on that ball. That ball landed outside the left-handed batter's box. This rally, we'll call it that, started with a Sano double. And now the guy walked intentionally is the winning run in scoring position.
Yeah, base hit right here, and then all of a sudden, just kind of one of those snatched it. And Twins had that dunk in Oakland where they gave it back up.
And Suzuki takes a fastball for a strike. It's odd. Mentioned it before. The 4 walk-off wins have all been on a home run. And all the Twins need here is a single to the outfield.
Well, Rosario will be off and running. He's got very good speed.
There's no intent here. There's a check swing, and it's 2-1. But they're not making any attempt to hold Rosario close at second base at all. The middle infielders are split 30 feet from the bag.
Yeah, the only indication that they're trying to do anything, and now McClennan's going to come out. I don't know what. He's going to go down and
he's going to argue the check swing, I think. You can't argue strikes. We know that. So I'm not sure.
Well, we've seen that called strikes.
If he says one word to Mike Malinsky, he should get tossed. If it's about the check swing. He's out here to get tossed in this game. That's the only thing I can figure. If he's challenging the first base umpire in the check swing, he should have been excused the moment he opened his mouth. Why is he still in the game?
Well, he passed home plate umpire Tony Randazzo. And I'm asking him, he can't even say to Tony, did you check, right?
They checked. They checked. Malinsky said no.
Yeah, I don't understand how he could get away with that without being tossed. And he's not doing his pitcher any favor by delaying the game and getting him out of rhythm.
Well, Mike Malinsky is the most patient umpire I've ever seen.
Let's just say we like him. Can argue a little bit with the guy.
2-1 to Suzuki. Rosario to third base on ball 3.
Why not? You got it like that. Seager was sleeping. Nobody watched him. He had a great jump. And now a wild pitch that scored the 2 runs could happen again.
Why on earth would they not have a middle infielder trying to keep the winning run close to second base?
Yep.
3-1 to Suzuki. Too much to ask for another wild pitch?
I'll ask for it in case you don't want to.
Remembering, of course, that Rosario's at third. He was intentionally walked with 2 out. toward the hole. The Twins win it. Suzuki delivers. A walk-off win for the Twins. They intentionally walked the rookie Rosario, and the veteran Suzuki eventually, after a couple of wild pitches, wins it for the Twins.
Well, what a momentum changer, a turnaround, really kind of a gift. When you get 2 runs via the wild pitch, you got to consider it a gift. But Suzuki got a big hit when he needed to, and the celebration begins right there.
I'm guessing there's going to be some hard questioning of Lloyd McClendon as to how this all unfolded in the 9th inning. At any rate, the Twins get a couple of runs in the 9th inning to walk off the Mariners 3-2. And Trevor May, who pitched the 9th inning and pitched very effectively, proving once again to be a vulture. He's moved to the bullpen and picked up wins a lot easier than he did when he was a starter. There's Suzuki making his way over to Kevin Gord. And a crowd of just under 37,000 staying till the end and being rewarded with the Twins getting their 5th walk-off win of the year. And the rally, of course, started with Miguel Sano's first pitch double. Let's go to Kevin Gord.
Thanks a lot, guys. This one really felt like a big win for your baseball team, knowing the situation. Haven't been able to get a lot of hits going in the last 2 nights against some quality pitching. You're up against a very good closer in Carson Smith. Take us through the at-bat, your strategy, and how you got the job done.
He's got good stuff. I just trying to look for a good pitch to hit. He threw me some good sliders. I laid off of, and right there looking for a fastball to hit, try to barrel it up, not try to do too much.
You're a veteran. You've seen a lot of comebacks. This team in July was great in this building. A lot of comebacks, a lot of magic. You did it again to start the month of August. What do wins like this mean for a team that's trying to make the playoffs?
Win's a win. We'll take them any way we can. And at this time of the year, the position we're in this year, we're just coming out here trying to win every day. We're not trying to look too far forward. Just come out here, play hard, and it's great to play in front of these fans.
What was it like with the hold on, heads up? I tried to tell you. Had to feel good wearing that catcher's gear all night. That's got to be a good thing for you, Kurt. But the experience of seeing the 1965 World Series team out here, the celebration before, and then going out and playing a game like this, that's got to be something for a baseball player that's pretty unique.
Yeah, there's a lot of history here. A lot of history, a lot of winners. And, that's the one reason why I came here, the history. They're always known for having great teams that play hard in front of great fans. And it's great to come out here and get this win tonight.
Fabulous job tonight. Congrats. Way to go.
Thank you.
The walk-off winner, Kurt Suzuki. Stay with us, fans. Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink, is next. We'll break down that great pitchers duel. Kyle Gibson bought the Twins time. They rally late. We'll hear from Paul Molitor and preview Game 4 tomorrow as the Twins look for a series win.